Have you ever spent hours reading a book or studying notes only to forget most of it the next day?
You know the feeling. You cram your brain full of information, feel like you've done the work, but when it comes time to recall it, it's almost like it never happened.
I've been there too. I used to sit for hours with textbooks, highlighting everything, making notes, thinking I was learning, but somehow nothing seemed to stick. And if you're a student, a professional, or just someone who wants to retain knowledge efficiently, this is frustrating and honestly kind of scary. Because the truth is, if you don't remember what you read, all that time feels wasted. But here's the good news. You can remember nearly everything you read in just 1 hour.
In this video, I'm going to share a simple, practical method that's science-backed, easy to apply, and something anyone can start using today. By the end, you'll know exactly how to read smarter, retain information faster, and stop wasting hours on ineffective study sessions.
And the best part? You won't need any fancy tools, apps, or memorization tricks that feel impossible to maintain.
So let's dive in. I'll break it down into 4 key techniques that, when combined, make remembering everything you read not just possible, but surprisingly easy.
The first mistake most people make is passive reading. You sit with your book open and your eyes move across the page, but your brain barely engages. Active reading is different. Here's how it works. Before you start, skim the chapter or section. Look at headings, bolded terms, summaries. Ask questions like, what do I want to get from this? Or why is this important? As you read, speak key points out loud or write them in your own words. I used this technique when I was preparing for exams. Instead of silently reading pages, I would explain the content to an imaginary friend. And it was a game changer. Information started to stick almost immediately.
Think about Japanese students studying kanji. They don't just read characters, they write them, save them, and use them in context. That active engagement is exactly what makes them retain so much.
Don't just highlight or underline without thinking. That feels productive, but it's mostly passive. Highlighting alone won't help you remember. Our brains struggle to remember large amounts of information at once. That's why the next trick is chunking, breaking material into small, meaningful groups. For example, instead of trying to memorize a whole chapter at once, break it into 5 to 10-minute sections. Summarize each chunk in 1 to 2 sentences. Connect it to what you already know. When I started using chunking, I could finish a long chapter and actually remember it later. Suddenly, large volumes of information didn't feel overwhelming anymore. Think of it like grocery shopping. You remember 5, 6 items easily, but a whole shopping list of 20? Hard to keep in mind. Chunking turns that long list into smaller, memorable groups. Avoid jumping between chunks without reviewing. Each chunk needs to stick before moving on. Otherwise, it becomes a jumble. Next up, visualization. Your brain remembers images much better than words alone. As you read, try to picture concepts in your mind. Draw diagrams, mind maps, or even doodles if it helps. Link abstract ideas to vivid, concrete images. I remember one history chapter about ancient civilizations. Instead of just reading names and dates, I visualized the cities, the marketplaces, and the people. When the exam came, recalling the scene helped me remember details effortlessly. Memory champions use this all the time. They turn numbers or words into visual stories, walking through a memory palace to recall massive amounts of data. You don't need a palace, just simple, clear mental images. Don't overcomplicate your visuals. Keep them simple and connected to the idea. Too much detail can confuse your brain rather than help it. Finally, we have spaced review. Reading once is not enough. The magic happens when you revisit material at strategic intervals. After reading a chunk, take a short break, then review it. Later, review again after a few hours, then the next day.
Even 5 to 10 minutes of quick recall can dramatically improve memory. Think of learning a language. You don't learn all the vocabulary in one sitting. You review it repeatedly over time. Spaced repetition is simply applying the same principle to anything you read.
Don't cram multiple chunks at once without spacing. That defeats the purpose. Short, repeated sessions are more effective than one marathon reading session.
Let's quickly recap the 4 techniques that make remembering everything you read in 1 hour possible. Active reading. Engage with the material, ask questions, and explain in your own words.
Chunking. Break large sections into small, meaningful pieces. Visualization. Turn abstract concepts into mental pictures.
Spaced review. Revisit material at intervals to reinforce memory.
If you combine these 4, you transform reading from a passive task into a memory-building process. So here's my challenge to you. Next time you sit down with a book, try these 4 steps. Even just 1 hour of focused, active reading using this method can leave you remembering more than you ever thought possible.
If you do this consistently, your study sessions will shrink, your retention will soar, and honestly, you'll start to feel in control of your learning for the first time.
And if you found this method helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more practical study tips, and try this trick with your next reading session. I promise, it works better than highlighting or passive reading ever could. Remember, it's not about reading more, it's about reading smarter. Start today and watch how your memory transforms.